Chapter 31 Teacher, I don't want you to die. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 31 Teacher, I want you to die. Hearing this, Yun took the list handed over by he, scanned it with her beautiful eyes, and immediately sighed, is indeed the top elixir among the 6th grade elixirs, and the refined medicinal material Wui is rare and rare. Precious. Hearing this, he laughed silently. If the medicinal materials were precious, he would have already started refining them himself, so why would he go to Yun? Elder He, I will gather these medicinal materials as soon as possible. After carefully looking at the items on the list, Yun looked at He. Although the medicinal materials for refining the Huangji pill are extremely precious, it is difficult to gather these medicinal materials based on the foundation accumulated by Yunlan sect over the years. Yes. Hearing this, he nodded and said, I hope the sect master will hurry up. We'll be traveling far away in 1 month. I hope the sect master can gather these medicinal materials within 1 month. Elder He is going on a far journey. Hearing this, a trace of surprise flashed across Yun's pretty face. Why does Elder He like to travel so much these days? That's right, is going to go to Tagader Desert. He said truthfully without hiding anything. Tagore Desert. Hearing this, Yun was a little surprised. The Tagar Desert was the territory of the Snake tribe. It is extremely dangerous to enter the Tagore Desert rashly. He nodded and said calmly, someone got news that there is a strange flower hidden in the Tagore Desert. Master, you know what the exotic means to the alchemist. Someone must get this exotic flower. He said solemnly. Extraordinary. After hearing what he said, a flash of surprise flashed across Yun Xiao's face. She was extremely surprised. There were actually alien beings in the Tagore Desert. As for the strange things from heaven and earth like even though Yun was born as an alchemist, understands the value in them, no wonder Elder He wants to go to the Tagore Desert, which is full of dangers. Immediately, Yun was thinking about something, and a look of confusion appeared on her pretty face. Elder He, do you already have a strange flower? Yun suddenly remembered that the last time he refined the chi gathering powder, there was something strange in the river. Although she knew a lot about aliens, she knew that one person could only refine one alien at most. Hearing this, he was slightly startled, not thinking that Yun could actually think about this level, but, since expressed the idea he naturally already had the wording. To tell you the truth, I want to take this exotic flower, but it was prepared by my disciple. He glanced at the little medical fairy beside him, a smile appeared on his face, and he spoke slowly. What? After hearing what he said, Yun thought she had heard it wrong. Her pretty face was slightly stunned, showing an incredible look. Elder He, you said you took this exotic flower, for the sake of your disciples. What do you mean? Yun almost dared to believe what she heard. Yes, I took this exotic flower and prepared it for my disciples. He nodded and confirmed, although it is hard to believe these words, he said it very calmly, because, wants to take Qingnian land, it is indeed prepared for the disciples. He is even imagining in his heart, what kind of treasure will he get after he gives the gift to his disciples. Give a beast flower as a gift, and you will get a strange flower since then give me a different flower. Zong already dared to think. In general, I believe that the result at that time will definitely exceed my expectations. There is a systematic return mechanism, at least you will suffer losses. Elder He, are you serious? After receiving the positive response from he, Yun's eyes suddenly widened and she looked at he opposite in disbelief. Of course I'm serious. The sect leader should know what the alien means to the alchemist. If my disciple possesses a strange flower, his future achievements will be extraordinary. As a teacher, what you want most is that your disciples will have some amazing achievements in the future. Someone is naturally an exception. Since I have accepted them as my disciples, I naturally want them to be better than their masters. He had an elegant smile on his face and his tone was full of expectations. It's just a strange flower. As long as the disciples can achieve something in the future, I will be willing to die even if someone is killed. After hearing what's said, Yun was stunned. How could Elder He go to such an extent for his disciples? Can you even take out such a rare thing from heaven and earth as a gift to your disciples? Her beautiful eyes stared blankly at the river opposite. Thinking about what had just said, Yixian felt a little ashamed for no reason, as both teachers. Z is really far behind Elder He. Nalan Yanran on the side was greatly shocked when she heard the touching heartfelt words from. Looking at the handsome face and elegant temperament of He, you was a little crazy. An idea came to her mind. It would be great if she had a teacher like Elder. Thinking about this, Nalan Yanran glanced at the little medical fairy beside her with some envy. It is really a blessing to be able to worship at the elder's door in the river, gentle, caring for his disciples, mainly because he looks so good-looking. It's just perfect. Recalling Yixian and Nalan Yanran's feelings, the most moved person at the moment was the little doctor behind Wang He. When she heard that Wang He was taking a strange man for the sake of his disciples, she stood there for a moment. And Wang He's heartfelt words moved her even more. Thinking back to that day, on the first day of my apprenticeship, the teacher passed on to me the insights of a sixth-grade alchemist, and even spared no effort to give me the power. Later, he even gave me a flying fighting skill without hesitation. Now that I think about it, since I became his apprentice, the teacher has never been stingy with me, but rather generous to an outrageous degree. I wonder which teacher can do this. Recalling these in her mind, a mist floated in the crystal-clear eyes of the little medical fairy. After a moment, the little medical fairy finally couldn't help throwing herself into the arms of the river, crying, "Teacher, I want you to die." Looking at the little medical fairy in his arms, the river was slightly stunned, and then showed a warm smile. "Silly girl, why are you crying? I haven't seen you grow up, how can I let you die?" Afterwards, after the comfort of the river, the little medical fairy stopped crying, and when she raised her head, she was already tearful. "Okay, don't cry, let the master, your senior sister Yanran, laugh at you." The river rubbed the messy hair of the little medical fairy, and joked. Chapter 32 Inner Gate Competition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After listening to Furukawa's words, the little medical fairy raised his head and glanced at Yixian and Nalan Yanran. When he saw the two of them looking at him, he couldn't help but exclaimed, then covered his face and left. "This girl. The scoundrels are stubborn, I hope the sect leader won't blame them." Seeing the little medical fairy leaving in a hurry, Guhe shook his head, and then apologized to Yixian. "I have to say, Elder Furukawa, you are really a good teacher." Looking at the scene of deep love between master and apprentice, Yixian sighed. Even strange fire is given to the disciples, what else is not given to them? Elder Furukawa's spirit is worth learning for yourself. However, thinking about the strange fire, Yixian's face became serious, and she looked at Guhe with her beautiful eyes. "Elder Guhe, when we go to the Tagore Desert, do we need our sect to go there?" The Tagore Desert is the territory of the Snake Tribe, and the queen of the Snake Tribe is notoriously vicious. If Guhe rashly enters the Tagore Desert, he may encounter danger. This is what Yixian doesn't want to see. After all, the other party is an honorary elder of Yunlan sect and a sixth-grade alchemist. If it is damaged in the Tagore Desert, it will definitely be a huge loss to the Yunlan sect. Moreover, regardless of his identity, Yixian still does not want Furukawa to go into danger alone, not to mention the chi-gathering powder last time. Yixian owed Furukawa a favor just for the Huangji pill this time. Especially after learning that Furukawa was in danger this time because of his disciples, Yixian wanted to help Furukawa even more. Yixian had a lot of thoughts in her heart, but Guhe was a little surprised when he heard Yixian's words. He remembered that in the original work, Guhe also invited Yixian to go to Tagar to seize the strange fire. At that time, Yixian didn't really do anything for Furukawa, she was just forced to do something because of the favor, and the result was not enough. But now, Yixian actually takes the initiative to help herself. Comparing this attitude, Furukawa faintly noticed that Yixian's attitude towards him had changed a lot. To be able to take the initiative to make such a request shows that Yixian already has a good impression of herself. Thinking about this, Furukawa unconsciously revealed a smile. However, Furukawa knew that was all. If he wanted to completely defeat Yixian, he would need some strong medicine. The revolution has not yet been accomplished, and ambition still needs to be worked hard. Guhe hesitated for a moment, and there was a trace of concern in his words. The Tagore Desert is full of dangers, and Queen Medusa is still guarding it. Guhe really doesn't want the sect master to put the sect leader in danger for his own selfish desires. Listening to Furukawa's words, Yunyun's heart was slightly touched, and her beautiful eyes unconsciously swept across Furukawa's handsome face. Elder Furukawa, are you worried about my safety? It doesn't matter. Although our sect can't defeat Queen Medusa, with the agility of the wind attribute, it's not that simple for Queen Medusa to keep me. Suppressing a touch of emotion in her heart, Yunyun's pretty face said with a smile. In that case, I would like to ask the sect leader to accompany me. A look of helplessness appeared on Guhe's face, and then he said solemnly, however, if we are in danger, I hope that the sect leader will take care of the overall situation and protect himself. After all, Yunlan's sect can live without me, Furukawa, but it can't live without its leader. Hearing this, Yunyun nodded slightly and said, I will do my best to ensure the safety of Elder Furukawa. Gu thanked the sect master in advance. Guhe said with a warm smile. Actually, this sect came to Elder Furukawa this time to return a question and wanted to hear Elder Furukawa's opinion. After hesitating, Yunyun said slowly. Sect master, you might as well speak frankly, Gu is all ears. Guhe said with a calm expression. After 3 months, there will be the annual inner sect competition of Yunlan sect. Speaking of this, Yunyun looked at Furukawa with her beautiful eyes. I would like to invite Elder Furukawa to host this inner sect competition. What does Elder Furukawa think? Inner door competition. Hearing this, Guhe was slightly startled. Yunlan sect holds an inner sect competition every year. The top 3 in the competition will get good rewards. Moreover, some elders will also watch from the sidelines to select disciples with good talents to join the sect. However, Furukawa had some doubts in his heart. He looked at Yunyun and asked, didn't the sect master personally organize it in the past? Why this time? A wry smile appeared on Yunyun's lips, and she said in a helpless tone, Elder Furukawa doesn't know that in every inner sect competition in the past, different elders took this opportunity to introduce their juniors to our sect, hoping to let them this sect will bring it into the family. Only. After saying this, Yunyun looked at Nalan Yanran aside and said with some relief, this sect has accepted Yanran and has no intention of accepting any more disciples. But these elders were all the elders of our sect. Even the elders watched our sect grow up. These words are difficult for me to say. So, this sect has no plans to show up for this inner sect competition. Speaking of this, Yunyun looked at Furukawa and said with a hint of pleading in her tone, I hope Elder Furukawa can understand our sect's difficulties. Listening to this, Furukawa already understood what Yunyun meant, this is to use yourself as a shield. Furukawa sighed a little in his heart. Yunyun was still too soft-hearted after all. This kind of thing can be avoided for a while, or it can be avoided for a lifetime. If you don't want to accept a disciple, just say it directly. Do those old guys still want to force you? With Yunyun's current strength, she no longer needs to look at the faces of those old guys. Guhe had dealt with several elders of Yunlan's sect before. Those old guys like to take advantage of their seniority, relying on the fact that they used to follow the old sect master Yun Shan and have a long history. They often use the attitude of elders to suppress others. At the beginning, Guhe, who had just entered Yunlan's sect, had also experienced their methods. However, after Guhe broke through to the 6th grade alchemist, no one dared to be presumptuous in front of him. After all, a 6th grade alchemist, in terms of status, is above the Douhuang strongmen. It is not something that anyone can scold. Moreover, as a 6th grade alchemist, Guhe is also arrogant. When facing the elders taking advantage of their seniority, he never buys it. This also made those old guys have no way to deal with him. At this moment, facing Yunyun's request, Guhe had many thoughts in his mind, thinking about what benefits he could get if he agreed to preside over this inner disciple. After a moment, Guhe had made up his mind and nodded to Yunyun with a smile. Since the sect master is in trouble, then Gu is naturally willing to help you solve the problem. Guhe had already made his own plan in his mind. During the inner disciple competition, each disciple will show his strength. At this time, perhaps some talented disciples can be found. If they can reach the 8-point score of the system, Guhe does not mind accepting them as disciples. Chapter 33 Guhe's Ambition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With the apprenticeship system, the fastest way for Guhe to become stronger is to recruit apprentices. Of course, he refers to genius apprentices. and this inner disciple competition can't help but make Guhe feel a little bit of anticipation. If he finds a hidden genius, wouldn't it be a big profit? Thinking of this, Guhe no longer hesitated and readily agreed to Yunyun's request, and Yunyun heard Guhe's answer, and a satisfied smile suddenly appeared on her pretty face. Seeing Guhe sincerely thinking about her, Yunyun's heart has added a good impression. Unconsciously, Yunyun's feelings for Guhe are no longer the indifference of the past. Guhe's every move and choice have begun to gradually affect her mood. If it were in the past, Yunyun would not take the initiative to ask Guhe to do things for her even if she was in trouble. Even Yunyun herself did not notice this. At this time, Guhe seemed to be thinking of something, looking at Nalan Yanran on the side, and said gently, Yanran should also participate in this inner sect competition. In the inner sect competition, one must have the strength of a fighter, and disciples under the age of 18 are eligible to participate. In last year's inner sect competition, Nalan Yanran had not yet broken through the fighter realm, so she did not participate in the inner sect competition. She should not miss this inner sect competition. Hearing this, Nalan Yanran's pretty face had a confident smile. Yes, I will also participate in this inner sect competition. Nalan Yanran is still confident about her own strength. For this inner sect competition, Nalan Yanran has already set a goal. First must be first. Only by taking the first place can she be worthy of her identity as the young sect master. As a disciple of the sect master of Yunlan sect, she must defeat other disciples of the same generation this time and win glory for her teacher. Yanran, I want to trouble you for something. Hearing this, Guhe said with a smile. Nalan Yanran was stunned for a moment, and then immediately responded, Elder Guhe, please tell me. As long as Yanran can do it, I will never refuse. It's not a difficult thing. Guhe nodded, and then said, this little disciple I just accepted was a doctor before and has never been in combat. Before the inner sect war comes, I hope you can take some time to have a few actual combat sparring with her. Guhe looked at Nalan Yanran and slowly stated his request. Perform sparring. Hearing this, Nalan Yanran was slightly stunned, and then reacted, Elder Guhe, are you talking about the little medical fairy? Could it be that you also want her to participate in this inner sect competition? Nalan Yanran asked in surprise. Yes. Hearing this, Guhe nodded and said, not only her, but also Ling, will also participate in this inner sect competition this time. Hearing this, even Yunyun beside her showed a look of surprise. Guhe had been in Yunlan sect for so many years, and she knew that he had devoted his life to the art of alchemy. As for cultivation, he had never paid much attention to it, not to mention any practical experience. Even Guhe had not practiced fighting skills. Yunyun was not surprised by this. As a high-grade alchemist, no one would offend Guhe. Moreover, even if he needed to solve the problem with force, Guhe, as a high-grade alchemist, would issue a call, and a large number of strong people would be willing to be driven by him. The call of a high-grade alchemist was extremely scary. What puzzled Yunyun was that Guhe was actually out of character. Not only did he let his disciples participate in the inner disciples competition, but he also asked Nalan Yanran to practice with him to increase practical experience. Such a big change had to surprise Yunyun. Elder Guhe, don't you always discourage fighting with others? Why this time? Yunyun couldn't help but speak out her doubts. Hearing this, Guhe had already thought of the words. He smiled and explained, Master, I used to have a misunderstanding, thinking that alchemists only need to focus on alchemy. Now, I have figured it out. As an alchemist, I should pay more attention to cultivation. After all, some things cannot be delegated to others. Although alchemists can call on other strong people to do things for them, these are not their own power after all. Only when their own strength is strong can they really do what they want. Facing Yunyun's doubts, Guhe talked freely. In the original work, Guhe was not good at fighting. Even though his cultivation was far higher than Xiao Yan, he was defeated by his opponent in public within 10 moves, which can be said to be a complete loss of face. Guhe now has a teaching system, which can train his disciples into perfect alchemists who can make medicine and fight. In the original work, the protagonist Xiao Yan is obviously such a perfect alchemist. Not only does he have outstanding alchemist skills, but he can also fight against opponents of higher levels in martial arts. This is because he has Yao Chen, the medicine master, to support him. Guhe doesn't believe that the disciples he has trained as the owner of the system are not as good as Xiao Yan. Moreover, when his disciples go out to train in the future, they can fight and make medicine, which will be envied by others. Then after a little inquiry, he learned that these were all his disciples, and his reputation as a good teacher would spread quickly. At that time, all kinds of geniuses came here because of his fame, just to join his disciple Guhe. Wouldn't it be great? Thinking that he would have countless geniuses in the future, and that he would trigger the system's return mechanism by performing initiations and teachings every day, the corner of Furukawa's mouth curled up slightly unconsciously. After listening to Furukawa's explanation, Yixian finally nodded slowly. However, she had some doubts in her heart. Concentrate on refining medicine and dedicate yourself to cultivation. Will a person have so much energy? However, since Furukawa has already decided, she can't help but ask. Nalan Yenran on the side didn't think much about it. After listening to what Furukawa said, she readily agreed. Elder Furukawa, don't worry, I will give good guidance to the little medical fairy junior sister. Well, that's all for you. Ko nodded slightly, but he had his own plan in mind. The little fairy doctor is pregnant with evil spirits and cannot be poisoned. Taking the poison will improve his cultivation level, and he will also have his own power transfer initiation. Although the current actual combat situation is not comparable to Nalan Yenran, with the sudden increase in her strength, Nalan Yenran will definitely be shocked. At that time, the little medical fairy would definitely not expose her disaster poison body. So Nalan Yenran would subconsciously blame Guhe for this. He watched helplessly as a junior sister who was not as powerful as him surpassed him step by step, or even crushed him. What would Nalan Yenran think at this time? What else can I think? Of course I am envious of the little medical fairy for having such a strong teacher. Chapter 34 Activating the Poisonous Body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Afterwards, Yixian explained some matters about the inner disciples' competition, and then slowly left the courtyard with Nalan Yenran. Alas, there is a long way to go. Looking at the beautiful figure of Yixian leaving, Guhe sighed, shook his head and went back to his room. Just as he was about to practice, he heard a burst of light footsteps outside the room. Teacher, the next moment, the voice of Yixian sounded outside the door. What's the matter with this girl? A trace of doubt flashed through his mind, and Guhe casually said, come in. Squeak. As Guhe finished speaking, Yixian pushed the door open and walked in. Teacher. Yixian stood in front of Guhe, wanting to say something but stopping. Girl, just say whatever you want. Seeing the hesitation in Yixian's eyes, Guhe comforted her in a gentle tone. Teacher, I want to activate the evil poison body in my body. Encouraged by Guhe, Yixian finally made up her mind and said what she thought in her heart. Have you thought it through? Hearing this, Guhe's eyes flashed with surprise, and he said solemnly, once the evil poison body is activated, there is no turning back. Although Guhe originally accepted Yixian as his apprentice because of her evil poison body, but at this moment, Yixian took the initiative to propose to activate the evil poison body, and Guhe was not happy. Once the evil poison body is activated, it will be addicted to poisons. The more intense the poison, the more attractive it is to her. For the owner of the evil poison body, the poison is like the attraction of strange fire to alchemists. They will rush to it without hesitation like moths to a flame. In addition, in the process of swallowing poison, they will also receive great pain and torture. Looking at the smart and well-behaved Yixian in front of him, Guhe suddenly felt a little reluctant to let her bear all this. Disciple has thought it through. Then, facing Guhe's question, Yixian did not hesitate at all, and said in a firm tone, activating the evil poison body was a decision made by Yixian after careful consideration. What made her completely determined was the touching heartfelt words she heard from Guhe in the pavilion today. The purpose of her awakening the evil poison body was to not disappoint her teacher. Since you have decided, then follow your own heart. Seeing the firmness in Yixian's eyes, Guhe did not say much. Then, he took out a column of purple herbs from the ring. This is a second-level herb, purple heart orchid, which can be used as medicine, but it also has a lot of toxicity. You can use this to activate the evil poison body. Guhe said, handing the purple heart orchid in his hand to Yixian. the only condition for activating the evil poison body is to take the poison actively. Yixian stretched out her hand and solemnly took the purple heart orchid from Guhe's hand, thinking to herself, "Teacher, I will not let you down. Teacher, I will take my leave first." Yixian slowly left the room with the purple heart orchid in her hand, gently closed the door, and then left. As Yixian left, the room immediately returned to silence. Guhe sat cross-legged on the bed, slowly closed his eyes, and then released a ray of soul power, exploring Yixian's room. Although Yixian had a body of evil poison, swallowing poison should not cause any trouble, but Guhe was still a little worried. After Yixian got the purple heart orchid, she went straight back to her room. Sitting down beside the bed, Yixian looked at the purple heart orchid in her hand, and a trace of determination flashed in her eyes. The next moment, Yixian picked up the purple heart orchid and brought it directly to her mouth. With her pink lips slightly open, Yixian directly took the purple heart orchid into her mouth, and then began to chew it carefully. As a bitter juice entered her mouth, Yixian closed her eyes, and swallowed the juice directly with a ruthless heart. Then, Yixian closed her eyes tightly, waiting for the doom to come, just like a prisoner about to be executed on the execution ground. The effect of the purple heart orchid was slow, and after half an incense stick of time, Yixian finally felt a little uncomfortable. Then, a sudden tingling sensation rose from her abdomen. Holding her abdomen tightly, Yixian couldn't help but groan in pain. As the purple heart orchid toxin completely took effect, a sharp tingling sensation rose in her abdomen. Yixian's pretty face turned pale, and she fell unconsciously on the bed, and her petite body gradually curled up. While Yixian was in severe pain, she didn't know that the colorful hidden line on her lower abdomen was emitting bursts of colorful light, which was extremely charming. At the same time, strands of black gas overflowed from Yixian's body and floated in the room. After an hour, the tingling sensation in the body slowly dissipated. At this moment, Yixian seemed to be exhausted and fell unconscious on the bed. As Yixian fell unconscious, there was only silence in the room except for the floating black gas squeak. A moment later, with the sound of pushing the door, Guhe's figure slowly stepped into the room. When the door was opened, a slight air flow was caused, and some black gas immediately floated towards Guhe. Feeling the intense toxicity carried by the black gas, Guhe frowned, and then the purple flame in his body rose up, burning the approaching black gas to ashes. Then, Guhe came to the bed, looked at Yixian, who was already in a coma with frowning eyebrows, and sighed slightly. Then, Guhe picked up the quilt beside him and covered Yixian with it. After doing all this, Guhe glanced at Yixian and slowly left the room. The next day, Yixian's eyelids moved and she slowly woke up. Confusion flashed in her eyes, and Yixian quickly remembered that she had swallowed the purple heart orchid grass yesterday. Slowly getting up, Yixian saw the quilt covering her body, and Guhe's figure flashed subconsciously in her mind, and her crystal eyes were instantly covered with a layer of mist. "It seems that after I fell into a coma, the teacher came to see me." A touch of emotion appeared in her heart, and Yixian slowly sat up. Then, Yixian's mind sank into her body, and then she showed a satisfied smile. 3-star fighter. After taking a plant of purple heart orchid, he broke through 2 small realms. As expected, every time the poisonous body swallowed poison, its strength would be greatly improved. Then, Yixian slowly stood up, raised her head slightly and saw the faint black gas floating in the room. Seeing these black gases, Yixian's face changed. These black gases were all overflowed from her body and contained highly toxic substances. If someone inhaled them into the body, it would be bad. Suddenly, Yixian thought of the poison-eating and condensing technique that her teacher taught her. End of chapter. Chapter 35, 4th on the Tianding ranking, Dragon Soul Cauldron. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After activating the evil poison body, Yixian can be said to be full of poison. If she keeps this state, she will definitely hurt people around her in the future. If it gets out, Yixian's identity as the evil poison body will be completely exposed. By that time, I'm afraid Yunlan's sect will not tolerate her. At this time, Yixian thought of the poison-eating pill condensing technique that her teacher taught her. The poison-eating pill condensing technique can condense the toxins in the body into a poison pill. This poison pill is extremely toxic and can be controlled at will. if Xiao Yixian can condense a poison pill with the power in her body, she will not accidentally hurt others in the future. Thinking of this, Xiao Yixian recalled the content of the poison-eating pill condensing technique in her mind and sat cross-legged on the bed again. Her jade hands made hand seals one after another, and the fighting spirit in her body circulated wildly, as Xiao Yixian made handprints. The black gas in the room gradually approached Xiao Yixian, and finally entered her body and disappeared. After a while, Xiao Yixian slowly opened her eyes, and her beautiful eyes showed a little disappointment. If you want to condense the poison pill, the poisonous energy attracted is not enough. After thinking about it, Xiao Yixian slowly got out of bed and left the room. Teacher. After a while, Xiao Yixian's voice slowly sounded outside Wang He's room. Come in. Hearing Wang He's hearty voice, Xiao Yixian slowly opened the door and walked in. How do you feel? Looking at Xiao Yixian, whose face had returned to normal, Wang He smiled. Well, it feels pretty good. When Xiao Yixian heard this, her pretty face showed joy, and she came to Wang He and showed off, Teacher, I have broken through to the 3-star fighter. As expected of the evil poison body, it is indeed extraordinary. Wang He had already known about Xiao Yixian's breakthrough, and he smiled and sighed slightly. Hearing Wang He's praise, Xiao Yixian was happy, and then looked at Wang He and said, Teacher, do you still have poisonous grass? I have prepared it for you a long time ago. Wang He heard this, with a smile on his face, and then took out a package from the ring and handed it to Xiao Yixian. Disciple, you must remember not to swallow poison too frequently. If your strength improves too quickly, it is easy to cause an unstable foundation. You still have to spend some time to stabilize your realm. Wang He said with a serious face. I understand, brother. Hearing this, Xiao Yixian nodded, and then slowly left the room. Time flies, and soon 10 days have passed. In the courtyard, in Xiao Yixian's room, at this moment, Xiao Yixian sat cross-legged on the bed, and the room was filled with thick black gas. Xiao Yixian made a series of mysterious handprints in the water. As the handprints were made, the black gas in the room seemed to be summoned by something, and rushed towards Xiao Yixian. And then all was absorbed. After a while, the originally thick black gas in the room had been completely absorbed. In the body of Xiao Yixian, in the middle of the Douqi cyclone, a black pill was suspended in the center. A trace of black gas passed through the Douqi cyclone and then slowly merged into the black pill. As the last wisp of black gas merged into the black pill, Xiao Yixian on the bed slowly stopped the action in his hands and then opened his eyes. With a slight induction of her mind, Xiao Yixian knew her current realm, 9-star fighter. In a short period of time, Xiao Yixian broke through from the original 3-star fighter to the current 9-star fighter. If such a cultivation speed were to be spread out, it would definitely shock the world. With an excited look on her face, Xiao Yixian slowly got out of bed and then walked towards Wang He's room. At the same time, in Wang He's room. Teacher, I have successfully broken through to the 9-star fighter. Ling looked at Wang He in front of him and said excitedly. Well, it is indeed a breakthrough, well done. Looking at Ling wearing a half-face mask in front of him, said with a smile, just right, a month has passed. Now that Ling has successfully completed the breakthrough, it is natural for him to give a reward. He. Hearing S praise, Ling's face suddenly showed a silly smile, and then looked at eagerly, Teacher, you said that if I can break through, you will look at your virtue. Hearing this, couldn't help but laugh and scold, and then he took out the red snake cauldron from the ring. Here, this red snake cauldron will belong to you from now on. Waved his hand and said with a look of anger, looking at the red snake cauldron in front of him, Ling's eyes suddenly lit up, and he said excitedly, Thank you, teacher. Though he smiled slightly, without responding, but his eyes flashed with anticipation. I wonder what kind of treasure I can get. At this moment, the system prompt sound that he had been waiting for a long time sounded in his mind. Ding! It is detected that the host has granted my younger brother Ling Red Snake Cauldron. Congratulations to the host for triggering the 10,000 times return and obtaining the 4th place on the Tianding list, Dragon Soul Cauldron. The Dragon Soul Cauldron has been issued to the system space, please check it. Hearing the system prompt sound in his mind, though he was slightly stunned, 4th place on the Tianding list. Dragon Soul Cauldron. Though he remembered that in the original work, Yixian seemed to have mentioned this Tianding list, it is rumored that in the world of medicine refining, in addition to the list of strange fires, there is also a Tianding list. As the name implies, the Ding list records those extremely perfect and outstanding medicine cauldrons. There are 13 Dings in the Tianding list, and each of them has a magic that attracts countless alchemists. One had remembered that Yixian had a medicine cauldron on the Tianding list, named Black Magic Cauldron, which ranked 8th on the Tianding list, and now, the Dragon Soul Cauldron he got ranks 4th on the Tianding list. Seeing Lu Ling immersed in the joy of getting the Red Snake Cauldron, Wanhe's mind moved, and his consciousness directly entered the system space. When Wanhe's consciousness entered the system space, he saw a golden medicine cauldron as small as a table at a glance. The golden medicine cauldron was quite sturdy, and there was a faint calm aura all over its body. On the surface of the golden medicine cauldron, there were also several lifelike dragon-shaped monsters painted. Looking closely, the patterns of these dragon-shaped monsters are just like real objects. Faintly, he seemed to be able to hear the faint sound of dragon roar coming from the golden medicine cauldron. What a cauldron! Looking at the extraordinary golden medicine cauldron in front of him, he couldn't help but exclaimed, the Red Snake Cauldron and this golden medicine cauldron are really too shabby. The medicine cauldron is one of the most important things in the hands of an alchemist. A good medicine cauldron can greatly increase the efficiency of the alchemist's alchemy. This is the Dragon Soul Cauldron, worthy of being the 4th on the heavenly ranking, with extraordinary momentum. Looking at the Dragon Soul Cauldron in front of him, excitement flashed in his eyes. Chapter 36 13 Years of Cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guhe slowly approached the Dragon Soul Cauldron and stretched out his hand to touch the body of the cauldron. The moment Furukawa came into contact with the Dragon Soul Cauldron, a mysterious message entered Furukawa's mind. Furukawa did not dare to neglect, and quickly gathered his energy to receive this information. This piece of information is not very large. With Furukawa's current soul power, he can easily absorb the contents. Through this piece of information, Furukawa finally understood the information and operation of the Dragon Soul Cauldron in front of him. Dragon Soul Cauldron, according to legend, it was created by the Dragon Emperor in ancient times, and it contains the essence of the Dragon clan. This is the origin of the Dragon Soul Cauldron. It comes from ancient times and has existed for a long time. As for the Dragon Soul Cauldron's creations, there are many. First, it can increase the alchemist's success rate in refining alchemy. Secondly, the Dragon Soul Cauldron was created by the Dragon Emperor and contains a strong dragon aura. When activated by instilling fighting spirit, it can release the pressure of the dragon and suppress all monsters. Thirdly, it contains dragon essence inside. As long as it is dripped into the dragon blood, its dragon essence can be awakened and made into one's own hands. The above are the 3 most important works of the Dragon Soul Cauldron. As he recalled these works in his mind, Furukawa's eyes lit up slightly. Unexpectedly, this Dragon Soul Cauldron has so many magical works. After admiring it for a while again, Furukawa thought that Lu Ling was still in the room and quickly left the system space. After Guhe's consciousness returned to his original form, Lu Ling's excitement calmed down slightly at this moment. Brother, thank you teacher for giving me the cauldron. Lu Ling bowed to Furukawa and said in a very sincere tone. This is what I promised you, Master Ben. No need to be polite. Guhe waved his hand and said casually, I promised you as a teacher that as long as you break through the 6-star fighter, I will give you another chance to pass on the initiation. Please come forward. Pass on the initiation. Hearing Furukawa's words, Lu Ling's eyes lit up, and then she excitedly came to squat in front of Furukawa. Concentrate. Looking at Lu Ling squatting in front of him, Furukawa gave a soft drink and immediately placed his palms tightly on his back. Moved slightly, Guhe directly circulated the fighting energy and instilled it into Lu Ling's body. Feeling a strong force pouring into her body, Lu Ling perked up and did not dare to neglect at all. After strong and violent power poured into her body, Lu Ling instantly felt a swelling and cracking sensation in her meridians. Lu Ling's face turned pale, and she quickly directed the power towards the fighting spirit in her body. Soon, the aura on Lu Ling's body gradually changed. Less than 20 breaths passed through Guhe, and a muffled sound came from Lu Ling's body. 7-star fighter. In an instant, Lu Ling successfully broke through to the strength of the 7-star fighter, but this is not the end yet. Furukawa is still continuing to carry out the initiation. After more than 30 breaths, Lu Ling's breath changed again, 8-star fighter. At this moment, Lu Ling felt a tingling sensation in his body, but he still gritted his teeth and persisted. After dozens of breaths, Lu Ling's breath changed again, 9-star fighter. In just a few hundred breaths, Lu Ling broke through 3 realms in a row, breakthrough from a 6-star fighter to a 9-star fighter. Teacher, stop, I can't hold it anymore. At this moment, Lu Ling felt as if the meridians in his body were about to be torn apart, and he quickly shouted. If he continues to pass it on, the meridians in his body will be damaged. For a fighter, meridians are the most important thing. If the meridians are damaged, then the future growth is destined to be limited. Hearing Lu Ling's words, Furukawa's eyes suddenly flashed with disappointment, but for the sake of Lu Ling's safety, Furukawa immediately stopped the initiation transmission. And the moment Furukawa stopped instilling fighting spirit, the system immediately started to settle. Ding! It was detected that Su granted brother Lu Ling half a cultivation level. Congratulations to Su for triggering a 10,000 times return and gaining 13 years of cultivation. 13 years of cultivation has been distributed to the system space, please pay attention to check it. Half cultivation level. Hearing the system prompt, Furukawa looked at Lu Ling speechlessly. This little boy, with half his cultivation level, couldn't hold on any longer. What a disappointment to myself. Fortunately, the 10,000-fold return was triggered later, and the harvest was pretty good. 13 years of cultivation is enough for him to break through several levels. Seeing Lu Ling concentrating on absorbing the fighting spirit in his body at this moment, Furukawa wanted to slap him. A mere half cultivation level can't hold on anymore, but are you really going to give him credit? The meridians of this little body are too fragile. At first glance, it seems that I have never been tempered. At this moment, Furukawa has made a decision to train Lu Ling well from now on. After waiting for half an hour, Lu Ling slowly opened her eyes. Feeling the surge of power in her body, Lu Ling was filled with excitement. The initiation transmission is so cool. He would never forget this feeling of soaring cultivation. However, Lu Ling, who was immersed in the excitement of the surge in cultivation, did not notice Furukawa, whose face was slightly dark. This little was extremely excited to accept such a little fighting spirit. What a good-for-nothing guy. Ahem. Looking at Lu Ling, who could hardly help but dance, Furukawa couldn't help but cough slightly. Hearing Guhe's voice, Lu Ling was slightly startled, and excitement quickly subsided. He came to Furukawa and glanced at Furukawa with an extremely respectful look. Brother, thank you very much, teacher, for imparting the initiation. Yes. Hearing this, Furukawa said in a polite voice, looking at Lu Ling with somewhat malicious eyes. Teacher, what's wrong with you? Feeling Guhe's gaze, Lu Ling had a bad premonition for some reason. It's nothing. I have a method to teach you, so please come forward. Guhe shook his head and continued. I also want to teach myself the method. Hearing Furukawa's words, Lu Ling couldn't help but startled. The teacher is too kind and too convenient, right? Not only was he given the red snake cauldron, but he was also given an initiation. Now he actually plans to pass on a method to himself. Having obtained many treasures from Guhe, Lu Ling now understood a truth. Produced by the teacher, it must be a high-quality product. The method that the teacher taught me this time is definitely not an ordinary method. Thinking of this, Furukawa looked expectant, and slowly came to squat in front of Furukawa. Guhe sat on the bed, looked at Lu Ling, who was squatting in front of him, stretched out his palm and printed it directly on his Tianding cap. At a moment's notice, Furukawa had a thought and directly used his magical power to transmit the Xiang, the earth-level method in his mind, to Lu Ling. Lu Ling closed her eyes tightly, and after a moment she felt a stream of information entering her mind. Concentrate and calm down. Following Furukawa's soft voice, Lu Ling began to receive this information attentively. Window, _tabula equals window, _tabula, _tabula. Push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300x250, target _type, mix. Chapter 37 Divine Fire Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 37 Divine Secret. As his mind absorbed this information, Ling gradually realized that this information was a technique. Purple Sun Ju. Earth level technique. After learning the mystery and level of this sect, Ling was greatly shocked. It's actually an Earth level skill. The teacher actually taught him all the Earth level skills. At this moment, Ling almost wanted to stand up and dance. Concentrate and calm down. At this moment, Furukawa's dissatisfied voice sounded in the room. Ling quickly calmed down her agitated thoughts and concentrated on absorbing this memory in her mind. After a while, the Xiang Ju initiation was completed, and Furukawa slowly retracted his palm. Subsequently, the system's prompt tone also sounded in my mind. Ding, it's been detected that the host has taught Ling the Earth level skill Xiang Ju. Congratulations to the host for triggering a 10,000-fold return and obtaining the heaven-level high-level skill Divine Ju. The divine art has been distributed to the system space. Please check it carefully, host. God secret. Heaven-level advanced skills. Furukawa was slightly shocked when he heard the system beep. He looked at Ling, who was still immersed in refining the Xiang Ju, and immediately fell into the system space. As soon as he arrived in the system space, Furukawa saw two crystal light balls suspended in the void, one colorless and the other crimson. This colorless ball of light is naturally the 10 years of cultivation that were returned previously. Ding, did the host mention 10 years of cultivation? As Furukawa's consciousness touched this colorless ball of light, the sound of the system suddenly came from his mind. No. Guhe quickly shook his head, and Ling was still outside. Then, Furukawa looked at the purple ball of light aside. Ding, would you like to ask the host if you want to extract the magic secret? The moment the voice sounded, Furukawa was already ready to respond. Extract the sacred scripture. For a moment, Furukawa's consciousness returned directly to his body, and a huge amount of information followed, flooding into Furukawa's mind. Furukawa's powerful soul power wrapped it up and absorbed the information directly. After a while, Guhe had completely received the message of the sacred scripture. God's secret, a certain kind of flame is the god of life, swallowing thousands of people and strengthening one's body. In Furukawa's view, this divine technique is somewhat similar to the burning technique, but there are huge differences. Furukawa even believes that this sacred scripture is a domineering technique that can swallow and plunder flames. The most important thing in practicing Shinjue is to condense one's own life shin in the body. The god of destiny is completely driven by himself, and is also closely related to the master's cultivation. The god of life can increase his own flame source by swallowing other flames. As long as the source of the flame of the god of destiny has been improved, the owner of the god of destiny will also receive great feedback. Thinking back on the subtleties of the divine art in his mind, Furukawa's face was filled with a smile. This sacred scripture is really suitable for me. He has a disciple returning system, and as long as there is a beast, he can create abnormalities by himself. If there is an abnormality, you can even create a flame of a higher level than the abnormality. If he, the god of life, swallowed up all these high-level flames, wouldn't his strength skyrocket? Moreover, there is also a chapter in the Shinju, the Shin body tempering chapter. This is a method that specializes in tempering the body and soul. Furukawa was overjoyed. Is he lacking such a tempering technique? If the strength of the physical body increases, then the fusion cultivation will not be so painful in the future. Not long after, Guhe finally came to his senses and looked at Ling, who was still immersed in absorbing the information of Xiang Ju. Guhe waited quietly for a moment, and then Ling slowly opened her eyes. Thinking of the Xiang Ju in her mind, Ling's eyes flashed with excitement. Then he hurriedly came to Furukawa and said with great gratitude, "Thank you, teacher, for giving me the earth-level kung fu." Ling's tone was very sincere. He comes from a noble family, so he naturally understands the value of an earth-level technique. It can be said that even if the Lu family went bankrupt, they would not be able to come up with a single earth-level technique, but now, my teacher actually gave it to me so easily. This made Ling so excited that she actually felt a little unreal. I will teach you 2 disciples. If I don't pass these things on to you, who else can I pass them on to? Looking at the sincere Ling in front of him, Furukawa's expression gradually softened, and he slowly said, "Okay, you don't have to think too much. Practicing hard is the best reward for being a teacher." Yes, I will definitely practice hard and never slack off. Hearing this, Ling said firmly, the teacher has even given him the earth-level kung fu, so what reason does he have for not working hard? Well, that's good. Guhe nodded, and suddenly said, Linger, I beg you to break through to the Douxia realm within a month. Is it possible for you to do it? A month? Hearing this, Ling was startled and felt a little uncomfortable. Teacher, 1 month is too tight, isn't it? No, I think there is enough time left for you. Guhe shook his head, and then said with a serious look on his face and a somewhat encouraging tone, let's do this. As long as you can break through to the realm of fighting master within a month, the master will give you another reward. Among others it includes the power transfer and initiation. What? Teacher, are you serious? Ling, who was hesitating, heard Guhe's words and immediately became energetic. He said excitedly and confidently, Teacher, please let it go. Within a month, I will definitely break through to the Douxia realm. Thinking that only by breaking through the Douxia realm within a month can I experience the pleasure of the sudden increase in cultivation just now, Ling was instantly full of motivation. Well, by the way, starting from tomorrow, come here every afternoon, and I will give you special training. Suddenly, Guhe thought of something and said to Ling. Special training? Teacher, what special training? Hearing this, Ling was a little confused. Guhe showed a hint of ill-intentioned smile at the corner of his mouth, and looked at Ling and said, you will know when the time comes. As long as you complete the special training of the master, you will not feel pain when you pass on the power for the next time. Really? Ling was looking forward to hearing this. In that case, will I be able to hold on longer when I receive the power transfer next time? Thinking of this, Ling inexplicably looked forward to tomorrow's special training. Okay, go back and consolidate your cultivation first. Guhe waved his hand and let Ling leave. He thought of the 10 years of cultivation in the system space, which he was eager to absorb. Then, Teacher, I will take my leave first. Hearing this, Ling did not stay here any longer, bowed slightly to Guhe, and then left the room directly. After Ling left, Guhe was about to get up to refine the 10 years of cultivation, but found that his second brother, Yixian, had come. End of chapter. Chapter 38, Initiation, Wave Palm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom, boom, boom. Teacher. Soon, the light voice of the little medical fairy sounded outside the door. Come in. His faint voice sounded in the room. Hearing this, the little medical fairy opened the door directly and walked in, arriving at the room of He with ease. Teacher, this disciple has broken through the 9-star fighter. As soon as he arrived in front of the river, the little medical fairy couldn't help but say, with a bit of excitement in his tone. Yeah, it's awesome, much better than your senior brother. Hearing this, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth and he made a truthful evaluation. However, when it comes to the speed of cultivation, I am afraid that few people in the entire Douqi Continent can match the little medical fairy. Hearing the praise from the pretty face of the little medical fairy couldn't help but reveal a look of joy. Keep working hard. When you break through the Douxia realm, my master will give you 3 rewards. It has been a month since the last time I imparted my kung fu to the little medical fairy. He couldn't help but promise. Really? Hearing this, the little medical fairy's eyes narrowed slightly, a trace of expectation flashed in his crystal eyes, and then his expression turned firm. Teacher, don't worry, within 10 days, the disciple will definitely be able to break through to the realm of a fighting master. That's good. Hearing this, he nodded with satisfaction, and then took out a few bottles from the Neji. Girl, what is in this bottle is bone powder. Every time you finish practicing, pour a bottle into the water for a medicinal bath. Handing the bottle to the little medical fairy, he explained. Bones scattered. Hearing this, the little medical fairy's beautiful eyes lit up. She has received the inheritance of a 6th-grade alchemist, so she naturally knows the efficacy of this bone powder. Douhuang is a 4th-grade elixir that can be poured into water for medicinal bath. It can not only temper the body, but also moisturize the skin. It is very precious. Usually, noble ladies from some big families like to buy this bone powder to nourish their bodies. It can not only enhance their physical fitness, but also maintain their skin. Teacher, thank you. Happy to receive several bottles from the river, the little medical fairy quickly thanked them. Every time you swallow poison, there may be hidden wounds in your body. Remember to take a medicinal bath every time, otherwise there will be hidden dangers. He nodded and explained carefully, the bone powder can not only clear the hidden wounds in the little medical fairy's body, but also temper her physique. Physical strength is the key to imparting power and empowerment. In order for his disciples to receive as much fighting spirit as possible from him in the future, he had to find a way to improve their physique. Well, thank you teacher. Hearing the soft voice of He's instructions, held the bottle tightly, and the little medical fairy was extremely moved. Teacher, you really think about your students all the time, disciple will not let you down. A flash of determination flashed in the little medical fairy's heart. Thinking of this, the little medical fairy looked at the river and asked softly, Teacher, do you still have poison here? Hearing this, he pondered for a moment, took out a silver token from Neji and handed it to the little medical fairy. Disciple, this is my master's application for an identity token for you. From now on, you can go to the main peak to apply for a batch of medicinal herbs every half-month. Hearing this, the little medical fairy took the silver token with the 3 characters of Yunlan sect written on it. However, there is also a medicinal cauldron engraved on the 3 characters. This token represents the identity of the alchemist of Yunlan sect. As the #1 force in the Jiamai Empire, the Yunlan sect naturally recruits more than just the 6th grade alchemist. In Yunlan sect, there are still many alchemists who have not joined the alchemist guild. For these alchemists recruited, Yunlan sect will promise huge profits every half-month. These alchemists have the right to apply for a batch of medicinal herbs from the sect. Of course, the grade of this batch of medicinal herbs depends on the level of the alchemist. For this common sense, once preached to the little doctor. At this moment, looking at the identity token in the middle, the little medical fairy felt a little happy. From now on, she can apply to the sect for the herbs she needs. Disciple, while improving your cultivation level, don't neglect the art of refining medicine. Looking at the little medical fairy with a happy face, he reminded, after all, the permission of this identity token can depend on the level of the alchemist. Only when the level of alchemist has been upgraded can one be eligible to apply for higher-level medicinal herbs. Teacher, don't worry. When the disciple breaks through to the realm of fighting master, he will definitely be able to break through to the 2nd grade alchemist. Holding the silver token in his hand, the little medical fairy said with confidence, having accepted the inheritance of a 6th grade alchemist, the little medical fairy had easily refined a 1st grade elixir a few days ago, and successfully became a 1st grade alchemist. That's great. He smiled with satisfaction. At this time, he suddenly thought of something and said again, tomorrow, go to the main peak and find your senior sister Nalan. She already came here yesterday. Senior sister Nalan. Hearing this, the little medical fairy was a little confused. He nodded and said, my master has told her to teach you martial arts experience. After you go, you must study hard. But, teacher. Hearing this, the little medical fairy said a little embarrassedly, have you never learned fighting skills? During this time, she devoted herself to improving her cultivation and spent a lot of time refining elixirs. She had no time to practice fighting skills at all. If you were to practice martial arts with senior sister Nalan like this, wouldn't it be embarrassing? Hearing this, he was stunned, but had forgotten this point. Then he looked at Yixian and waved, it's okay. Come here. I will teach you a fighting skill now. Hearing this, Yixian's beautiful eyes lit up, and she came to Xiao with expectation. Xiao slowly stretched out a finger and touched Yixian's smooth forehead. At the same time, he silently said in his heart, System, pass the Douhuang palm to Yixian. The next moment, Yixian felt a message coming from her mind, and she quickly closed her eyes and concentrated on receiving this message. After a while, Yixian slowly opened her eyes, and her beautiful eyes flashed with surprise. Yellow level high level fighting skill, Douhuang palm. Yes, what Xiao passed to Yixian this time was just a yellow level high level fighting skill, because it was less than a month since the last time Yixian was given a power. Now, giving her a power will not trigger the system to return it. Therefore, after mastering 2 high-level Xian-level fighting skills, Xiao Yixian did not pass them on to Xiao Yixian. However, Xiao Yixian was already very satisfied with this. After Xiao Yixian's initiation, the essence of the stacking wave palm had been deeply imprinted in her mind. With a little practice, she could perform the stacking wave palm. "Thank you, teacher." Xiao Yixian thanked Xiao Yixian. "Disciple, when you break through to the fighting master level, I will pass you a high-level Xian-level fighting skill," Xiao Yixian said with a smile. "Really?" Hearing this, Xiao Yixian was delighted and looked forward to breaking through the fighting master level earlier. "Okay, go out and practice it well, don't lose face in front of your senior sister Nailin tomorrow," Xiao Yixian said with a smile. "Okay, teacher." Xiao Yixian responded and left the room excitedly. "Next, it's time to break through." After Xiao Yixian left, stood up and went to the medicine room next door. Window, _tabula equals window, _tabula, _tabula. Push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target _type, mix. Chapter 39 4-star Douhuang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the pharmacy, Guhe closed the door, set up a barrier around the pharmacy, and then sat cross-legged in the middle of the room. Then, Guhe closed his eyes and slowly sank his consciousness into the system space. Then, Guhe silently said in his heart, "System, start integrating 13 years of cultivation." As Guhe finished speaking, in the system space, the colorless light ball that was originally suspended in the void suddenly turned into a bright light and shot into Guhe's body. Bang! As the bright light shot into the body, the next moment, Guhe felt a muffled sound in his body, and then a huge energy surged in his body. This energy was extremely overbearing, surging in his body, like a tornado, sweeping towards Guhe's limbs and bones. The piercing pain spread in his body, and Guhe's face turned pale in an instant. Afterwards, Guhe followed the method used last time, and the moment this energy entered his body, purple flames began to ripple in his body. Compared to this energy, the purple flame was more domineering, and the moment the two came into contact, it directly dissipated this energy. Then, Guhe controlled the dispersed energy and guided it into his own field. As more and more energy entered the field, the breath emanating from Guhe's body became more and more vigorous. After a while, the vigor of the fighting spirit in the field was several times stronger than when he was practicing just now. This short moment was equivalent to almost half a year of hard practice. This feeling made Guhe intoxicated. Now, he is extremely skilled in refining energy, and this energy is also extremely pure, so it does not take too much time to condense it. What he needs to do is to disperse this energy and then guide it smoothly into the field. I wonder how much my cultivation will soar after absorbing all this energy. However, although this kind of cultivation will increase quickly, it will also cause the internal fighting spirit to be empty and the foundation to be unbalanced. It will take a lot of time to consolidate the cultivation in the future. Immersed in the pleasure of the rapid increase in cultivation, Guhe was not impatient and quietly absorbed and refined this energy. As time passed slowly, half an hour soon passed. At this moment, when Guhe once again guided a wisp of scattered energy into the field, the Douqi cyclone in his body began to rotate violently in an extremely shocking way, and his breath began to surge at this moment. Bang! With a muffled sound from Guhe's body, a terrifying pressure erupted from him uncontrollably. This pressure swept around, then passed through the special wall of the pharmacy, and was finally blocked by the barrier outside. 2-star Douhuang. At this moment, Guhe's cultivation has broken through to the level of 2-star Douhuang, and this is not over yet. There is still a lot of energy left in Guhe's body, and the energy absorbed just now is less than 1/10. After the breakthrough, Guhe's heart was full of motivation and continued to absorb the energy in his body. As time passed, Guhe's cultivation continued to break through. Bang! An hour later, the fearful pressure was released again. 3-star Douhuang. At this moment, he had broken through to the 3-star Douhuang realm. As more and more energy flowed into Guhe's body, Guhe's breath continued to surge. Another hour later, the muffled sound came from Guhe's body again. 4-star Douhuang. And with this breakthrough, the energy in Guhe's body was finally absorbed by him. The next moment, Guhe's eyes slowly opened. At this time, in his black eyes, purple flames suddenly emerged. At the same time, a powerful pressure burst out, and then uncontrollably rushed towards the barrier outside. Boom! Crack! Under the impact of this pressure, the barrier outside suddenly seemed a little fragile, and cracks appeared. Seeing this scene, Guhe's face changed, and he quickly restrained his breath. After a few breaths, Guhe's eyes gradually returned to calm. Is this the strength of a 4-star Douhuang? Guhe slowly spread his hands, feeling the huge power in his body, and a faint smile overflowed from the corners of his mouth. This feeling of sudden increase in strength made him feel very comfortable. When he gently grasped his right hand, the Douqi in his body suddenly turned into a storm and swept over the barrier outside, accompanied by bursts of crackling sounds. The barrier covering the alchemy room shattered. The next moment, a barrier that was more stable than before reappeared outside the alchemy room. After the breakthrough, Guhe did not plan to leave the alchemy room. He wanted to take advantage of the breakthrough opportunity to condense his own life-defining divine fire. The contents of the Divine Fire Sutra flashed through his mind quickly, and Guhe's face was shocked. The prerequisite for practicing the Divine Fire Sutra is to master a kind of strange fire. It is worthy of being a high-level method. This cultivation threshold is enough to eliminate most people. Fortunately, I just mastered a kind of strange fire now. However, this method of practicing the Divine Fire Sutra is too self-destructive. The first step is to guide the controlled strange fire into the body and melt this strange fire into one's own flesh, bones, and even soul. It must be completely integrated, rather than controlling this strange fire in the body. This method reminded Guhe of the method in the original work where Queen Medusa evolved with the help of the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire. However, although the methods are somewhat similar, the difference is that Guhe was able to control the strange fire when he was practicing. Even if he was self-harming, it was within the controllable range, unlike Queen Medusa, who was completely gambling on luck. It seems that if I want to condense my life-defining divine fire, I will suffer a lot. With a bitter smile on his lips, Guhe slowly closed his eyes and reviewed the contents of the Divine Fire Sutra in his mind again. After a while, Guhe adjusted his own state to the best, exhaled lightly and prepared to start practicing the Divine Fire art. He decided to use the ghost flame to condense his life-defining divine fire. After all, the only strange fire he controlled at the moment was the ghost flame. With his eyes slightly closed, Guhe casually sat cross-legged in the training room. With a thought, purple flames suddenly appeared from his limbs and bones. Guhe directly controlled the purple flames according to the training route in the Divine Fire Sutra. The surrounding fighting spirits gathered and then hit Guhe's flesh and bones. The strands of purple flames even penetrated into Guhe's soul. In an instant, Guhe's body was directly enveloped by the purple flames. A kind of pain of being cut into pieces surged through Guhe's body, spreading to every bone, flesh, and even soul. Window_tabula equals window_tabula push mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250, placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target_type, mix. Chapter 40 Condensing the Innate Divine Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 40 Condensing the Life Sacred Fire, Pain. Pain that penetrates deep into the bone marrow. With his whole body enveloped in purple flames, Guhe was no different from being roasted on a fire. Resisting the severe pain from his body, Guhe sank his spirit into his body. In Guhe's body, the purple flames containing terrifying energy were randomly shuttling through the meridians of his body. Everything that stood in the way would be burned into nothingness in an instant. Under these high temperatures, the originally spacious and tough veins were twisted like dried twisted dough sticks. Looking extremely weird and terrifying, of course, the pain caused by the twisting of the meridians caused Guhe's body to cramp continuously and indirectly, with muscles tense all over his body, and veins like fleshworms twitching continuously, and his pale face was bloodless. It's rare to come to such a colorful world. There is no mortgage, no car loan, and no sky-high bride price. There is only a huge feast of cultivation. Since I, Guhe, have the system and are blessed by God, I will definitely be above the 9 heavens and on the edge of the clouds in the future. If I can't bear this little pain, How can I accomplish anything in the future? That endless pain has overwhelmed Guhe's nerves, and his originally handsome face has become extremely hideous at this moment. Then a brilliant smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. When you regard pain as enjoyment, nothing in this world can shake your will. In the meridians, purple flames shuttled crazily. In just a few minutes, Guhe's body was almost destroyed. The scorching heat radiated from his body, passing through his meridians and bones, and directly caused tiny white bubbles to appear on the surface of Guhe's body. The white bubbles broke, revealing the red flesh underneath. Small cracks spread from his flesh and blood, and finally covered Guhe's arms and body, like a broken porcelain doll, which looked quite scary. Ignoring the changes on the surface of his body, Guhe at this moment was completely focused on the miserable state of his body. He was concentrating on dealing with a ray of purple flame that penetrated into his soul. With the intense pain coming from the depths of his soul, Guhe's soul trembled fiercely for a few times, and cold sweat on his forehead fell like water, soaking his clothes. Taking a few deep breaths of cool air, Guhe fumbled with his hand to take out a bottle of healing medicine from his ring, sprayed it on the wound randomly, and then continued to focus on the purple flame in his body. As time passed, the purple flame on Guhe's body became more and more intense, and finally it seemed like a purple light shield, covering him. The cyan light shield released a blazing high temperature. On the light shield, the flames violently rolled, making it difficult for the outside world to clearly see what was happening inside. Soon, an hour passed in a flash. In the alchemy room, the round flame light shield released a faint purple light. On the surface of the light shield, the purple light flickered, and the faint light was projected on the wall, like a rippling purple water pattern. In the light shield, Guhe sat cross-legged on the ground. At this moment, he seemed to be in an unconscious state. The spirit in his body was also exhausted because of the previous fight with the 9 nether flame. It was floating in his body in a daze, but it was still difficult to condense. When Guhe was in this dazed and semi-comatose state, the 9 nether flame that slowly flowed through his meridians suddenly began to flow along the meridian route without anyone controlling it. At this time, the 9 nether flame, perhaps because it had been refined by Guhe earlier, not only did it no longer release that terrifying high temperature, but it became a little warm. While flowing along the meridians, tiny wisps of purple liquid separated from it, and finally adhered to the meridian wall that had been damaged to the point of almost losing its function of containing Douqi. As it slightly squirmed, it actually gradually melted into the meridian wall. As these purple liquids churned with faint purple flames, they drilled into the meridians. Suddenly, the meridians in Guhe's body, which had been twisted like dried dough sticks, slowly stretched out like grass leaves in the desert that met a water source. Countless meridians in the body made excited sounds at this moment. The purple liquid left by Yixian along the way would be swallowed up quickly by the meridians that were constantly expanding and contracting at a terrifying speed. As the meridians greedily swallowed, the grayish-white color gradually faded from the meridians, and was replaced by the purple color full of vitality. The 9 nether flame flowed along the meridians, and wherever it passed, the withered meridians regained vitality, and the cracked bones and burned muscles were repaired at a gratifying speed, and the toughness of the repaired meridians, bones, etc. was far greater than before. Obviously, although the 9 nether flame caused great damage to them, the compensation it paid also made these important organs in the body feel that it was worth it. While the 9 nether flame was repairing Guhe's body, the blood-scarred body outside him gradually merged with the blood seams. The blood scars quickly emerged and then fell off without leaving any traces. The muscles under the skin were quickly strengthened. Although he did not become as strong as those muscular men, an explosive force gathered faintly when his arms were bent and stretched. The skin on the surface of the body, layer by layer of dry epidermis, fell off rapidly like a snake shedding its skin. The new skin looked as delicate as a woman's skin, but its defense and sensitivity to the energy of heaven and earth were several times stronger than before. At this time, Guhe, with the help of his strange state, the huge and almost terrifying energy contained in the 9 nether flame was rapidly strengthening and repairing his broken body. This was really a chance and luck. Repair and strengthening were proceeding slowly. When the 9 nether flame drilled out of the last injured meridian, Guhe's severely injured body was finally repaired to a near-perfect state. The combat power that this body could create at this time was definitely much stronger than the previous body. After completely repairing Guhe's body, the 9 nether flames suddenly turned into a purple light and directly escaped into the depths of Guhe's soul and disappeared. At the moment when the 9 nether flame escaped into Guhe's soul, his soul, which had been in a coma, suddenly trembled and then completely woke up. After the soul woke up, Guhe's mind quickly swept through the body like a conditioned reflex. Everything in his body was completely new, making him lose consciousness for a blink of an eye. However, when his mind was checking his soul, he saw a ray of purple light deep in his soul. He was stunned for a moment, and then a touch of ecstasy that was difficult to conceal surged up. Success. End of chapter.